Chapter 2, U.S. Army Auditing Agency, Section 1, Internal Audit Services. The function U.S. Army Auditing Agency conducts internal audit programming within the Army. U.S. Army Auditing Agency Field Operating Agency reports the Army Audit Army General. Audit Army General has operations centers, field offices located throughout the continents of the United States, of Europe, and Korea, of Hawaii. U.S. Army Auditing Agency organizational place of the maintain auditor independence with required public law, government accounting, general accepted government accounting standards, self-comp control. United States auditor won't perform management function with the management decision. U.S. Army Auditing Agency provides level legal provision of the Army objective of the independent audit, with the internal and external audit extended to the Army organizational operation to all expect with the management and with the internal controls. U.S. Army Auditing Agency performing the performance of its financial audit with the attestation, gamut, accordance, general accounting, government accounting standards. Within the approval of the Audit Army General, the U.S. Army Auditing Auditors provide with the other services for the offering routine advice assistance as well as conducting analysis, compliant reviews. Auditors sometimes provide with the audit assistance with criminal investigation, with the investigation officials. U.S. Army Auditing Agencies independent, unrestricted selecting audits of the perform, determine the scope of the audit with the undertaking with the selection of the material with the review, examine the during of the plan survey, audit execution. U.S. Army Auditing Agency supports the Army mission, provide timely, relevant audit services subject matters most important to the Army. U.S. Army Auditing Agency make it of the work over the other audit investigating analysis of the agency, minimize the duplication, increase the effectiveness of the audit. Auditors accomplish with the attestation engagement with non-appropriate funded instrumentality in accordance with the GAGAS policy, DOD instruction 7606 Army Regulation 215-1, other applicable Army regulation. U.S. Army Auditing Agency may approve oversight advice for the assistant auditing planning program of the Moral Welfare Recreation Program. Independent public accountants of firms conduct an audit attestation engagement with non-appropriate funded related activity. The Commander, U.S. Army Installation Management Command, with responsibility Army Family Moral Welfare Recreation Programs, most coordinated with the U.S. Army Auditing Agency. Solicitation, audit, attestation engagement, public accounting firms before the release of the contract award. All auditing attestation engagements for non-appropriate funded related to the activities, included those under the contract of public accounting firms of the non-federal or federal sources compliant with the GAGAS, as well as applicable to the Department of Defense Office Management Budget Audit Standards of the Army. Audit Army General retains oversight of the responsibility may initiate the review of the work of the contract and longevity of these contracts. The U.S. Army Auditing Agency provide with the direct audit support of the federally sanctioned affiliated with the other independent private organizations if the audits involving potential for all the other serious and pure properties audit required by statute. 2 components of audit attestation engagement process. Auditors audit organization perform audit attestation engagements according with the general accounting, government accounting standards. For the summary engagement process follows a strategic planning. U.S. Army Auditing Agency with the risk assessment framework to review the Army's corporate strategic documents. U.S. Army Auditing Agency, according to Army leaders, annually develop the Army internal audit plan. U.S. Army Auditing Agency publishes the Army's internal audit plan, monitors of the test over the year of the planning engagement. U.S. Army Auditing Agency contacts audit focal points, gather the information data, helps the plan the audit, identifying location. U.S. Army Auditing Agency holds an entrance conference with the command official before engagement. Auditors visit command site to gather evidence and with the objective. The U.S. Army Auditing Agency holds in process, reviews the Army clients report or organization engagement results, orders the auditors summarize the result of the audit, their conclusion, make recommendations, estimate the associated potential monetary benefits. U.S. Army Auditing Agency holds access to the audit site with a request for the command official reply with the publishing reports, audit over the issue for the draft report. Command officials, auditors audit focal points, work toward obtaining command comments for the auditor, conclusion, recommendations, potential monetary benefits. Headquarters Department Army principal official for the established official Army position. U.S. Army Auditing Agency publishes, distributes final audit report following up the recommendation. Audit focal point monitors status of the agreed to command actions, the activity taken corrective action. U.S. Army Auditing U.S. Army Auditing Agency tracks status on implemented recommendations, conduct, follow-up, audits, selected recommendations. Section 2, Planning. U.S. Army Auditing Agency audit attestation engagements. U.S. Army Auditing Agency uses strategic audit plan process to identify audits that would be most relevant to the Army. The process involving applying risk-based framework, reviewing the Army's corporate strategic planning documents, such as the Army Plan, the Army Strategy, the Army Posture Statement, the Army Campaign Plan, combined with the extensive communication Army leaders to input with the development of the U.S. Army Implement Action Plan. U.S. Army Auditing Agency submits the Army's internal audit plan. To the Secretary, I'm going to Secretary for the approval of the strategic audit plan process to continue with the U.S. Army auditing management and staff of the strategic audit planning process for the execution throughout the U.S. Army auditing agency leaders evaluate the prioritize, adjust the internal audit plan to allocate U.S. Army agency resources for the audit for the provide maximum benefits of the Army Command. Activities should provide continuous readily only access with the key Army information so for the tab of the support of the developing internal audit plan, continual access for the system and the data support for the individual audits, eliminating delay for the maker of the request system access to the specific data, additional some of the audits report for the Army criminal investigation makes it essential for the auditor to obtain without involving command personnel of the U.S. Army auditing agency will comply with the following Army policy with safeguarding access to the data. 2-4 requests U.S. Army audit agency may request for the perform audits for the attestation engagement for the authority of Army General and based on the request High Court Department Army Principal Office of the Army Command, Army Service Component Command, direct reporting and other activities, U.S. Army auditing agency flexible aiding and canceling audits properties changing the Army audit Army General authority determined with the need for the timing of the audits request the audit attestation engagement and an individual will submit the request directly with the program director of the function known to the U.S. Army Auditing Agency, Strategic Audit Planning Office of the U.S. Army Pentagon Headquarters Department, AAA, MAX, MBX, SAPO at Army Mill. Schedule of engagements. The Army internal audit plan is available upon request. U.S. Army Auditing Agency, Freedom of Information Act liaison. Email U.S. Army Pentagon Headquarters Department, Army Agency Audit List, Army Agency Freedom of Information liaison, Army at Army.mil. U.S. Army Auditing Agency will coordinate audit focal points of the notified with command activity plan. Audits of the attestation engagement great in the greatest extent possible before entrance conference start off field work at focal points responsible for notifying interested organization individuals including a battalion level the organization might lead be included audit attestation engagement activity being audited may waive the advance notification requirements of request for the audit attestation engagement start sooner. Section 3 performing the engagement. 2-6 field work. U.S. Army Auditing Agency will notify the audit focal points when writing in 30 calendar days of the schedule audit. The attestation engagement start with the day of the arranging of the entrance of the conference appropriate command and personnel with the after making request. U.S. Army Auditing Agency may coordinate with the command audit of focal points for the beginning of the preliminary field work. U.S. Army Auditing Agency will evaluate subject matter of the variety of audit tools and technique. U.S. Army Auditing Agency will collect and analyze document the information data needed with the answer for the objective of the complete with the audit program support with the audit result. U.S. Army Auditing Agency must conduct the work in accordance with the government general accounting government accounting standards reports with appropriate evidence support with the conclusion audited activity to provide full access to the U.S. Army Auditing Agency in accordance with paragraph 1C. Set 27 of fraud and illegal act. U.S. Army Auditing Agency audit the auditors appropriate to design engagement provide reasonable assurance for the detecting indication possible fraud abuse illegal acts according with the general accounting government accounting standards. U.S. Army Auditing Agency auditors identify situation transact indicative fraud illegal acts during the course of the review. They will refer information appropriate to investigative authority. 2-8 in process reviews throughout the engagement. U.S. Army Auditing Agency will keep the Army clients as aware of the result of the formal discussion for the formal briefings. U.S. Army Auditing Agency may conduct in-process review that discuss progress during the in-process review. The U.S. Army Auditing Agency will give the client opportunity to provide input. Auditors with approach and tentative result of the Army clients encouraged to start taking action with the address conditions, including during the audit, as soon as they become aware of the issue. Section 4. Reporting results of the engagement draft report following completion of the field work. U.S. Army Agency Auditing Agency will prepare the submitted draft reports audit focal points of the designated of the representative of the original organization responsible for implementing recommendation obtained with a position finding with a conclusion recommendation potential monetary benefits if applicable plan corrective action even though the report may not include a recommendation potential monetary benefits. U.S. Army Auditing Agency will still seek and include the addressees of the position in the report. U.S. Army Auditing Agency will provide a draft report organization included with the draft included with the audit without recommendations finding conclusion recommendations potential monetary benefits. U.S. Army Auditing Agency submit to the organization responsible for the implementation recommendation for comment of the draft and that is not representing the official Army position. Draft documents won't be released outside of the Army without approval of the U.S. Army Auditing Agency Office of Counsel. U.S. Army Auditing Agency will quickly address the organizational reform of the implementation recommendation, confirm the classification protective markings of the draft report. U.S. Army Auditing Agency submits the report. Comment: U.S. Army Auditing suggests the classification protective marking organization will confirm classification protective marking in the information report that does not require classification protective marking organization. State that the classification marking protective marking isn't required. 210 exiting conference. U.S. Army Auditing will offer the schedule of the exit conference 15 calendar day for the draft report with the day of scope of the report. Exit of the conference give the organization opportunity to discuss the final conclusion, recommendation, corrective action, potential monetary benefits as well as the resolve of any of the open issue of the area of the disagreement. As the conference may not be necessary when the organization fully agrees with the report and not issue the required of the resolution. Consequently, addressing the organization will involve the implementation recommendations other than the organization have the interest in the audit resolve of the way of the existing conference. 211 the potential monetary benefits. Potential monetary benefits often occur active with corrective action include the following: collective funding, incorrectly paid, reducing excessive inventory, associated inventory holding costs, avoiding unnecessary expenditure, with the reducing requirements, avoiding costs, implementing recommended improvements related to the operation of the Army, with the business processes, improve the procedure that enable the activity to accomplish function more efficiently. U.S. Army Auditing report potential monetary benefits of the responsible activity provided with a detail of how the auditor with a computer on the basis. U.S. Army Auditing Agency also reports potential monetary benefits to the ASCA, Army Secretary of the Army, financial management control with the Deputy Chief of Staff of the G8 Program Analysis Evaluation, Army Budget Office, the Department of Defense, Inspector General for inclusion of the semi-annual report to Congress. Section 5, reporting to distributing reports. 212, replying the process of the U.S. Army Auditing Agency report. The command replies profit to enable the organization responsible for the implementation recommendation, hire a headquarters, the higher court, Department of Army Principal Office to represent their position, and finally with the conclusion, recommendation, corrective action, potential monetary benefits. Even though the report does not include the recommendation, potential monetary benefits, U.S. Army Auditing Agency will secretly include address these positions in the report process. Also provides procedure for the deciding with the disagreements on the audit reports and general requirements. Each command, director, headquarters, Department of Army Principal Office for whom the finding of the conclusion, recommendation, potential monetary benefit is addressed for the official command reply is required. The U.S. Army audit products associated with the engagement conduct in accordance with the general accounting government accounting standards within 30 calendar day of the transmittal of the draft of the report. If the organization will prompt the implementation recommendation not provide the position within 30 days, U.S. Army Auditing Agency responsible for the implementation recommendation. The U.S. Army Auditing Agency will take the action with the deemed necessary to obtain the reply with the published for the report of the actions include the elevating the report next high level, and if for its position, issuing the report with the official Army position with the command comments, if necessary, the official Army position, and established in accordance with the procedure described in paragraph 212C and 214. Commanders, heads of the Army activity, other individuals, authority responsible for the implement directly for the implementation of the required of the amendment, change of the approval of the command reply with any other individual assigned command replies must have the explicit authority to do so. Organization responsible for the implementation recommendation take prompt corrective action, agree with the finding, conclusion, recommendation, potential monetary for the benefit of the organization agree the process of the developing official of the Army position determines if the action will take if the commander's manager that determine they don't agree with the finding, conclusion, recommendation, potential monetary benefits, they should avoid taking action disagree until disagreements are resolved. Command reply process. The addressee will make it explicitly agree with the disagree with the concur with the non-concur with the finding, the conclusion, recommendations, applicable with the corrective action with any of the potential monetary benefit. Request of the command reply. USAA, ACFO, Army Department of Gun, Headquarters Department, Army Auditing Agency, MBX, ACFO, at Army Mill. Reply. Army address the issue of the President with the response of the provide corrective action with the target date with the corrective defense with the response of the command must provide with the position, fact, with the conclusion, potential monetary benefits related with the recommendation, justified with the corrective action taken in 12 months more to complete with the provided target date with the intermediate phases of the plan with the corrective action will take more than 12 months to complete. Explain with the disagreement of the U.S. Army Auditing Agency finding, conclusion, recommendation, sufficient detail to allow with the meditation junction with the draft of the proposed of the alternative of the action with the recommendation draft of the proposed alternative action must also have the clear state of the completion of the target date for those action with the addressing estimate of the component comment and the change with the necessary clarify the matters in the report provide U.S. in the position U.S. Army Auditing Agency estimated potential monetary benefits. The addressee will explicitly agree to disagree, provide alternative amount with each of the category type of the monetary benefit of the address, the degree of the potential monetary benefit, the result of the implementation recommendation, but believes the amount can be determined with the implementation addressee will confirm the potential monetary benefits common with the reasonableness of the estimate. Headquarters Department Army Principal Office, the primary interest of the audit with the preparer his or her reply office for the letterhead. U.S. Army Audit and Financial Audit reports will include the verbatim copy of the management replies activities of the responding recommendation comply with the applicable the required recommendation verbatim reply with the following. Command reply with the state explicitly with the activity concur with the concurs with the comment with the non-concurred recommendation statement that immediately filed with the recommendation explicit with the relief, the release. Reason for the disagreement that provide enough detail for the operational order to be able to prepare for the office official army of the position. Brief describe the corrective action plan with the already taken by the officer under the action to correct the problem, provide with the date for the activity to the completed with the corrective action, the target date for the plan action. By justification when the activity cannot be complete with a corrective action within 12 months of the entry of the activity provided in terms of the target date for the intermediate phase of the plan with its final completion date with their entire corrective action plan. It was listening concur with the comment with the non-concur with the reasonableness estimate of the potential monetary benefits as applicable with the Army activity with the include with the alternative estimate of the warranted Army activity explained with the reason for the disagreement. Alternative estimate with the potential monetary with the benefits sufficient detail for the, to allow for the operational order to prepare for the official of the Army position with the potential monetary benefits. U.S. Army Auditing Agency will evaluate with the response to the result of the disagreement, the deficiency with the response to the organization will respond with the ensure the implementation of the recommendation. If these attempts were unsuccessful, U.S. Army Auditing Agency will prepare the comments identified as the agency evaluation comments command. U.S. Army Auditing Agency what may include the evaluation addressee with identified with the alternative action, the intent of the recommendation agency evaluation of the command comments will appear with the summary of the response for the addressee. In the final report, audit report, the U.S. Army Auditing Agency may summarize the command reply with each of the recommendation, include the verbatim comments of the addressee, higher level of activity annex. Report of the report does not include the recommendation potential monetary benefits. U.S. Army Auditing Agency still secretly include the addressee position in the report. Comments does not constitute the official Army position until they have been coordinated with the headquarters department Army Principal Official of Paragraph 212C. Official Army Position established U.S. Army Auditing Agency report associated with engagement conducted in accordance with the General Accounting Government Accounting Standards. Headquarters Department Army Principal of Office of the Principal Army responsible for the program process of the policy provided with the official of the Army Position step with the recommendation requiring conjunction in accordance with the Paragraph 213 operational orders provides the official of the Army Position explicitly the official response for the U.S. Army Auditing Agency operational orders may have provided the official Army with the position limiting implicit understanding of the corrective action with the action of the agreement of recommendation both for the lower level of command of the activity higher level of command activity in these cases replied lower level of command would agree with the higher level of command official of the Army position request with example of the Army position required U.S. Army ACFO at that email address. Where official Army position, operational order, evaluated position, associated audit, reported, recommended official Army position, finding conclusion, recommendations, if applicable, for the potential monetary benefits of the U.S. Army Auditing Action Agency report, recommendation, address of the operational order, operation will serve the official Army position, U.S. Army Auditing Agency, process report, attain the official Army position until the procedure timeframes are outlined in the following, addressing the full agreement of the draft report, U.S. Army Auditing Agency, simultaneously process the report, concurrence with the higher level of commands, Headquarters Department Army Principal Officer operational order provided with the Army position explicit with the implicit in 30 calendar days operational order provided with the explicit with the response with the written response official with the becoming the official Army position. The operational order declined with a reply with the does not respond 30 calendar days U.S. Army Auditing Agency review with the circumstances with the implicit with the official Army position reply with the subordinate activity becoming official with the Army position. Address the disagreement of the draft report, U.S. Army Auditing Agency incorporated with the address of the disagreement between U.S. Army Auditing Agency position, disagreement of the agency evaluation command, the draft report, U.S. Army Agency, then process for the report, next higher level of command with the official comments with a higher level of command within 3rd calendar days, response to higher level of command, modified with the reverse, they address the disagreement of U.S. Army Auditing Agency, agree with the revision, U.S. Army Auditing Agency will process the report, operational order, official comment, operational order, and endorse with the revision, endorsement become with the official Army position with the final audit report, operational order does not respond within 30 calendar days of receipt of the report received by his position, declined with the provided response with the higher level of recommend command between the official Army position. Disagreement with the draft report occurred between the command levels over the higher level of the command, but it does not agree with the U.S. Army auditing finding with the conclusion, recommendation, assessment of the potential benefit of monetary benefits. U.S. Army auditing submitted with the audit report with the command. U.S. Army auditing evaluation operational order, U.S. Army auditing agency higher level of command responsible to develop an Army position 30 calendar days operational order. U.S. Army automated engine audit agency position official becomes official of the Army position operational order does not provide the response on 30 calendar days. U.S. Army auditing agency may consider to continue with the work of the operational order to resolve the disagreement for the using resolution process, using the resolution process, awaiting the result of the publishing of the report without an official Army position, while using resolution process or publishing the report without an official Army position. See paragraph 213. Resolution process of the general U.S. Army audit agency operation will make with a reasonable effort to resolve the disagreement. The draft of the reports informal immediately involving the audit responsible activity higher level commands of efforts of a successful U.S. Army auditing agency will proceed with a formal meditation in conjunction with the process described in paragraph 213b and 213c. U.S. auditing may await with the outcome of the process include with the result of the official of the Army position and the final report, but may also consider the publishing of the final of the report official position into proceeding from formal medication and injunction of the faith of the fees complete with the 6 months of the final report date meditation. This agreement continues to exist for the published report without an official Army position and the report not published depending on the decision of the official Army position. U.S. Army Command Army Auditing Agency ACFO will attempt with the metadate with a disagreement of the U.S. Army Auditing Agency audit team in the operational order of the meditation meeting. U.S. Army Auditing Agency operational order resolve of the deficiency. U.S. Army Agency ACFO will prepare with a memorandum signed with the appropriate representative of the U.S. Army Auditing Agency. Operational order documented agreement of reach for the meditation documentation established with official Army position disputed the issue of the report. A junction of a disagreement is resolved through the meditation. U.S. Army will continue the processing report. U.S. Army Vice Chair SA with the appropriate with the junction U.S. Army with the junction of the disagreement of the U.S. Army Auditing Agency secretarial function of the Vice Chair Chief Security SA or junction agreements between the U.S. Army Auditing Agency member of the Army staff in accordance with a memorandum of understanding with the official Army position final report resolution process junction with the must be complete with the final resolution 6 months of the publication date of the report. 214 release for the audit reported related documents outside of the Army. Audit related documents over the draft of the command replies connected with the command reply with the process formally with the Army position audit reports except for the Army official Army position memorandum documents that does not represent the Army final position are releasable outside of the Army except for the Office of the Army Audit Army General with all the requests release of the audit related documents to the organization of the outside of the federal government to provide it or to provide an individual referred to U.S. Army Audit Office of the Council. 215 time-sensitive issues. U.S. Army Auditing Agency will notify the command of time-sensitive issue with the areas arising from during the engagement. Time-sensitive issue with the significant sensitive situation. Specific corrective actions may be taken immediately. Specified amendment date for a normal reporting resolution process of the completed U.S. Army Auditing Agency will use to notify with the time-sensitive issue through the memorandum to give the activity 5 working days to review. 2 recommendations must also allow more or less over the circumstances dictate. So for the time frame, time-sensitive the reports resolved in accordance with the policy paragraph 213 U.S. Army Auditing Agency value issues directed USA on the VCSA sufficient time to isn't available the normal time-sensitive procedures. 216 report distribution. Except for the classified report of the report special handling U.S. Army Auditing distribute the report's electronic format following the audit serve the activities activated with a recommendation commanding with a corrective action of the organization requested to arrange for the audit activity the legal oversight with the authority with the responsibility acting on the audit recommendations of the Army Command, Army Civil Service corporate operation components, direct report DA with the proponents inherent responsible for the functional activity described in the audit report. U.S. Army Auditing Agency will notify the Army activities immediately about published report. U.S. Army Auditing Agency posted the unclassified reports. U.S. Army Auditing Agency Army EITAAS at SharePoint.mil.USA sites headquarters department AAA extra net site pages AA percentage 20 AXP after establishment official Army position. U.S. Army Auditing Agency website available to military domains government accounting offices only. Other activities can request U.S. Army Auditing Agency reports on the contacting U.S. Army Auditing Agency CFO through email U.S. Army Pentagon Headquarters AAMBX ACFO Army.mil Section 5 Section 6, follow up on audit recommendation guidelines, Office of Management Budget 217, Office Guidelines. Office of Management Budget requires the following of the program audit reports effective with the follow-up of the program must revolve the method of taking the implementation corrective actions until the completion reporting status over these actions, including resolve of the potential monetary benefits, higher levels of management, verifying the corrective action of the periodic evaluation adequacy of the effectiveness of the overall program. Headquarters Department of Army Principals Official of the Army Command, Army Service Cooperative Component, Direct Reporting Unit, taking and implement the corrective corrections agreed to perform the official of the Army Position Director to implementing follow-up system of the control of the mounting report with the corrective action pertaining to the audit recommendations, potential monetary benefits. Headquarters Department of Army Principal Office of the Army Command, Army Service Cooperative Component of the Direct Reporting Units determine the document staff of the recommendation is practicable after the schedule of completion of the corrective actions. The U.S. Army ACFO that tracks the staff of the audit recommendation potential monetary benefits over the audit focal points will provide the audit updates for the U.S. Army auditing agency. Corrective actions complete with the implementation target dates are channeled and milestones are met. Maintain the documentation support that the corrective actions were taken. Submit supporting documentation required for the closure of the audit recommendations. 218 follow-up system. The follow-up system will document the action to take with the conclusion recommendation potential for the monetary benefits of the system allow with the monitoring corrective action presented by the command with a reply share the implementation of the target dates and initial suspense of completed action, actively respond with the take of the corrective action report with the audit focal points when complete with the corrective action and achieve with the monetary benefits, active respond with the take of the corrective action will maintain accurate records. Records will include the explicit with written confirmation of the documentation support, actively take over the corrective actions, achieve with the monetary benefit. 2. For the respond with the requested step of the activity provide timely, accurate, and include with the information of the audit focal points of the activity not notify with the audit focal points when they cannot meet the established implementation targeted details. As soon as it becomes known as the provided audit focal points for the new implemented target the date of the justification reestablishment implementation target dates. As soon as they become known, the audit focal points for the minor status for the corrective action and the activity responsible for taking the corrective action responsible activity cannot be meet established implementation target dates. If the provided audit focal points provide the implementation target date for the management official with the response for the activity audit focal points for the continue with the monitor of the recommendations with the analysis to show for the agreed action for the taking for the corrective actions were ineffective in the situation when the audit focal points for the report action was complete with will obtain with the new implementation target dates. From response of the activity audit focal points will notify the ACFO with any revised implementation target points, audit focal points with the monitor with any delay with the completion date with the advised senior management official will act appropriately to resolve the issue. Internal review personnel will make and conduct the following audits to verify with the command to corrective actions pursuant to the U.S. Army auditing agency audit requirements. 219 status of corrective action. It is responsible for taking the corrective action, making sure that the taking the meaningful effect of the time and the action and the responsible agree with the defined with the recommendation to receive the full benefit of the audit of the work on implemented recommendation represent with the condition that have been corrected. Monetary benefits reported reliable only after the reasonable managers have completed with the related with corrective action provided with explicit with the written confirmation, including documentation of the reference of the official of the budget according document data if the source of the document is not officially updated with the estimate along with the rationale for the estimate. Audit focal points will report with the test of the claim of the monetary benefits action with the implement of the recommendations of the complete with the audit focal points. You will notify the U.S. Army auditing agency, update with the staff that agree with the recommendation with a minimum every 6 months until the management corrective action is complete with the facility with the tracking of the corrective action, semi-annual reporting. U.S. Army auditing agency develop project management system with the track with the status of the corrective action, each of the recommendation with the reported potential monetary benefits of act with the status code of the recommendation as follows. 1. Unimplemented action in process of the management official with the take with the corrective action implement with the recommendation resolve of the problem. 2. Requested closure management official with the amendment of the closure request a memorandum of support of the documentation U.S. Army Auditing Department of Defense Inspector General Government Accounting Office for the review. Non-implemented overcome by events recommendation overcome by the events management official will take no further action implement with the recommendation. And 4. Implemented action complete with the management official with the corrective action with the fully implement with the recommendation eligible to follow up the audit to verify with the corrective action and taken corrected problem. Close. U.S. Army Auditing verify with the Army took with the corrective action when the problem have with the corrective that has not been notified with the Department of Defense Inspector General of the Government Accounting Office will action with the exhibition code with the recommendation implementation dates is for all with the original implementation target date with the original date with the recommendation address with the provide complete corrective action recommendation with the address with the target date with the reply with the report with the date with the track with the identify with the overall overdue recommendation revised implementation target date with the new implementation date with the competitively with the core active with the action command with the response with the monitoring providing with the regular status of the recommendation at a minimum of every 6 months with a follow-up of the audit. Subsequent to show of the recommendation on and implemented with a not fully implemented U.S. Army auditing agency revert the staff with the original recommendation back to the unimplemented action in process of the audit. Focal point of the staff's revised implementation targeted definitely appropriately with the audit. Focal point of the report adjustment with related with the potential monetary benefit of the decide with the potential for the monetary benefits with cannot change with to the U.S. Army auditing agency. Audit focal points will again report with the recommendation of the complete with the manager provide with confirmation code with the request and support with the documentation even if the U.S. Army auditing agency hasn't been verified completion but seek frequent follow-up audits for the headquarters department Army principal Army command Army service component command with the direct reporting units must maintain supporting documentation management official with the corrective action with the take for at least 5 years after the implementation of the last recommendation with the report make documentation ready with available to the audit organization. 220 U.S. Army auditing agency follow-up the audits of the U.S. Army auditing agency make it follow-up audits to verify whether the management official with the took for the corrective action implement the audit recommendation. U.S. Army auditing agency will issue the report containing the result of the follow-up audit with the conclusion whether they actively took for the corrective action, whether the actions achieved with the desired result of the monetary benefits of the applicable separate audit with the activities of the overall follow-up system, and the U.S. Army auditing agency will coordinate and provide a report with the evaluation and activity follow-up system. If the U.S. Army auditing agency found that the system adequate amount of the task of the corrective actions that make recommendation corrective deficiency in the system. Alright, 221, semi-annual follow-up the status report in accordance with the Department of Defense Instruction 7650-03 and Department of Defense Instruction 7750-06, U.S. Army auditing required by the Department of Defense Inspector General semi-annual status requirements, status management corrective action result of the U.S. Army auditing agency audit report, semi-annual follow-up status reports cover the 6-month period ending with March 31st and September 30th, respectively, with the Department of Defense Instruction made information reports of the Congress according to Public Law 95-452. U.S. Army auditing agency provided Department of Defense instruction on the narrative information statistical data report. U.S. Army auditing agency provides statistical data information related to Special Access Program Classified Annex Response Chapter 3 External Audits and Reviews.